We'll call this regular city council meeting to order on April 21st, 2025 at 6:06 PM. Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Present.
Mr. Bateman?
Present.
Mr. Sanders?
Present.
Mrs. McClellan?
Present.
Mr. Parrott?
Present.
Mr. Downs?
Present.
Mrs. Ross?
Present.
Mrs. O'Donoghue?
Present.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right. First up is public participation. I don't have a card, but Molly, I believe you would like to speak to the council, correct? If you would, please step forward. And for the record, can you just state your name before you get started?
Oh, okay. Am I starting right away? The first one up?
Whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Hello, council members. My name is Molly Pickering. I'm the new board president as of last week for the Logan County Tourism Bureau. I have to start by saying I'm not a business owner here, nor a tourism expert. I'm on this board because I believe that if we want to see good things happen in this community, we have to get involved. I'm proud to serve on this board and proud of my fellow board members who volunteer hours upon hours of their time and talents every month to serve this community. That said, I, like everyone here, want to see taxpayer dollars used in the most impactful way possible. I'm here tonight to ensure the city has the best and most accurate information possible about the Bureau's work so that you can make an informed decision about how best to use the city's hotel motel tax dollars. I'd like to start by clearing up some numbers reported at the last meeting suggesting that the Bureau operates in a $30,000 deficit. These numbers were generated from an annual profit and loss statement recently provided to all board members, including the mayor. The numbers from the report are accurate. However, this report was for our annual profit and loss for the calendar year of 2024, while the budget for our fiscal year runs June to June. Our organization, for as long as I'm aware, has never operated in the red and passes a balanced budget annually. The Bureau uses this balanced budget in a number of ways to drive tourism throughout the county. I'd like to highlight just a few. Since 2023, we have secured over $270,000 in state grants to be used for tourism purposes throughout the county, including upgrades to existing tourist attractions, the development of new tourist installations and signage, and marketing initiatives. We provide up to $20,000 annually in subgrants, which are primarily distributed to community events and tourism events, such as the John Welsh Basketball Tournament, Christmas on Vinegar Hill, Third Friday events, and many more. We extend our tax-exempt 501c3 status to important community events and initiatives that do not have a charitable status of their own, such as Balloons Over 66 and the Downtown Business Association, thereby allowing them to secure sponsors and grow their events. We provide this service at no cost. The Bureau also provides marketing support to Balloons Over 66 at no cost. We maintain and develop local tourist attractions such as the Mill Building, the Covered Wagon, the Welcome Garden, and the exhibits at the Depot, all located here in Lincoln. We drive tourism visits within the county through targeted advertising initiatives outside of the county, and we create, print, and distribute brochures and business directories at the hotels and waiting room offices to help drive tourism and spending within the county. We organize the Route 66 Garage Sale Day and the Downtown Lincoln Christmas Parade, among some other smaller events. Funding for most of these initiatives is provided predominantly by the city hotel motel tax, which averages roughly $170,000 annually. The Bureau is then able to leverage these tax dollars to secure the state's annual CVB grant, which brings in about $40,000 annually for an operating budget of about $210,000. We then may secure additional grants on top of that. Operating the Bureau, however, is not without its challenges. In an effort to ensure that the Bureau is making the most of taxpayer dollars, we recently conducted an audit to determine where and how we could operate more efficiently and strengthen our impact. We are in the midst of that audit now. However, if the city believes they can use the hotel motel tax dollars more effectively, we welcome the best use of taxpayer dollars and will do everything in our power to ensure a smooth transition. We ask that the city continue to work with the Bureau to find and secure a solution for our CVB status so that tourism dollars continue to flow in our community. Whatever is decided here tonight, we believe a strong partnership with the city with transparency, trust, and communication is the only way to achieve our common goal of doing what is best for this community, and we look forward to working closely with you. Thank you all for your time.
Are there any questions for Ms. Pickering? Ms. O'Donohue?
So just to clear it up for me and as everybody else. So the only fundage that is coming for the Logan County Tourism Bureau is the city of Lincoln, is the only municipality in Logan County who contributes to that.
Yes, that is correct. Lincoln is the only city in the county that has hotels and motels, and therefore is the only one that provides the hotel motel tax. Well, I think Atlanta has maybe one. Thank you.
Mr. Bateman?
So clear up a couple things here. And I don't know who prepared that for you, but there's a couple mistakes in there. I sit on the Third Friday Committee. I don't know of any funding. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Is there any funding at all that tourism gives to the city for our Third Fridays?
We just use the 5% that's retained of the hotel motel tax for that purpose.
So the city of Lincoln funds Third Fridays totally nothing from the Tourism Bureau.
Just let me clear up that point. Third Fridays annually has applied for our sub-grants, for the tourism sub-grants. So I don't remember the exact amounts, but we're giving smaller dollar amounts, $500 to $1,000 to the Third Fridays. I will be happy to look into that information and clear that up, but I know that recently, as of last year, for sure, there was a tourism sub-grant that went to Third Fridays
For what?
for whatever they asked us for.
It's for Nashville Nights.
Now,
To be clear, the city of Lincoln, when we have the hotel motel tax, we have traditionally just kept 5% of that. Some years it's been 10. We don't ask tourism for money because the money that we spend on Third Fridays, since the 7 or 8 years it's been running, has always been spent out of what we retain. So if somebody else came to you and asked for money, just to make sure we're talking apples to apples, it could have been another business. It could have been the Downtown Business Association, but it was not the city of Lincoln.
okay, it was for the Nashville Nights, so perhaps it was for from another association, but
Yeah.
the National Nights is part of the Third Friday event series.
So another statement you made was Balloons Over 66, which I am the president of the downtown portion of that event and have worked closely all 17 years of that. I don't know where you get the statement that tourism uses funds to advertise for our event, because I can tell you just my portion alone, and I know the other two entities can also vouch for the fact that tourism asks us to fund for advertising. I can produce canceled checks where I have to,
Yes, I'd
from
be
my group, sign over to tourism,
Mhm.
so tourism will then help promote our event.
I'd be happy to clear this up. So, as I understand it from talking to our executive director, past executive director, all of the entities decided to pool their funding because the Tourism Bureau is the bureau that does receive the most calls and the place where visitors reach out for information about the Balloons Over 66. And the entities decided to pool their funding and give it to tourism to do the actual hard cost labor, to do the printing. And so your funding goes to the actual hard cost things, the printing, the actual securing of an ad placement, those things. But the Tourism Bureau provides the development of those ads, the creation of those ads, the actual distribution of all the flyers, going out and finding the placements wherever those, ads placements need to happen. They do all of that service at no cost.
But it is a cost. We're
It's-
paying you for that.
No, you are paying for the hard printing, the hard actual costs, but you're not paying for the actual service of the marketing.
Can you produce receipts showing that your hard print or ads total $1,500 or more?
I'm sure we can.
Okay, because we've never been offered any.
Okay, but
Yes,
have
yes,
you,
sorry.
I'm sorry, have you also asked for it? I'm sure this is a reciprocal relationship.
No, it's not. Every year we wonder where our money goes.
And have you talked to the Tourism Bureau about this?
We don't ever get to meet with the Tourism Bureau. We met one time. The rest of it is just private meetings during the coming up to the event.
Alice, the director, was never involved in any of the conversations around with the Balloons Over 66 or with yourself leading up to the Tourism Balloons Over 66 event?
During the Balloons Over 66 meetings, but I never met with anybody from the Bureau.
She is from the Bureau. She is the director of the Bureau.
Okay.
What other entities pay the Bureau for printing services?
For Balloons Over 66,
I just mean in general. Any other thing that you support? What other non-tourism thing? What other entity has paid money into the Bureau?
I can't answer that question right now. I would have to have our profit and loss statement in front of me. I don't have that. I'm also, as you know, I just took over this position 1 week ago. So I will be happy to produce that for you.
Mr. Parrott,
I'm not 100% sure, of how it transpired that the tourism would take the 500 from each group. I don't know that we had asked for that. I don't know if we'd have to try to go back to some meeting minutes, but it would seem to me that the ask would have been to tourism to help promote their events, and this is what perhaps was thought of, determined by the executive director to do, and so that's we can only speculate without going through many meeting minutes about that. So,
any other questions for Ms. Pickering?
Thank you for getting that information, because Sam and I were talking last week, and we knew we didn't operate in a deficit, and that just didn't make any sense to us. And there's probably some other data that doesn't make sense as well that was probably shared, because until you start asking more questions and digging deeper into it to get all of the data, which would probably be the best thing to do as far as trying to give some more time to tourism to provide any additional information. As you mentioned, we're going through an audit.
Thank you.
Mr. Bateman?
I just want to clarify, it's nothing personal. I know you've only been doing this a week, but I've been dealing with tourism. I was on the Tourism Bureau for quite a long time when I was on the county board. And then when I moved to the city, there was already 2 positions filled, so I gave up that position. But I can tell you that as far as our event is concerned, I've never felt that we got much for bang for our buck from the Tourism Bureau. We spend a lot of money ourselves in promoting this event, and at least I can, as I stated last week, the hotel that I deal with and the hotel that the Balloons deal with, those hotels are sold out annually, year after year, for those events. And as the largest event in Logan County, we always felt that we were kind of shortchanged on the tourism portion of helping us promote it, especially when they're asking for the money to come from us.
Sure.
And we're all struggling to try to get enough sponsors to put the events on. I don't know if you know what some of those events run, but just my portion of the event, which is barbecue and the dock dogs and stuff, it's over $15,000 a year just to put the event on.
I do agree with you, Mr. Bateman, and I did look into, asked around a little bit about why tourism does not support the Balloons Over 66 further. Why don't we provide further grant funding? This, happened before I was on the board, but the understanding that I am under is that the folks on the board felt that because the city provided ARPA funds to all of these groups, that it would be, and this was a significant amount of city funding, that it might not be the best use to continue to give hotel motel tax funding on top of that. Now, that was the understanding that I'm under. This was before I was on the board. I would have to go back through all the meeting minutes to figure that out, but that was what I have heard in response to that. Now the ARPA funding is ending, and I think that should change, that the Tourism Bureau should be more involved in the Balloons Over 66. This is my personal belief. It's not something that we have discussed as the board.
So one thing that I'd like to point out is that I met with the Bureau a couple times already. And the last time I met, I know that you mentioned the P&L statement, and there's a discrepancy. I think it's important to share the fact, though, what I shared in that meeting, and that is the review document, the audit's already been completed. So I'm not, if you're in the middle of an audit, I think it's digesting what's been found, but that was 4 weeks ago. The only conversations that have taken place regarding this audit were the ones we brought up, to the best of my knowledge. And the discrepancy was a number that was provided by the tourism staff to the auditor into a document given to the Tourism Bureau. And for the record, not one person on the tourism board caught that discrepancy except for me. And I brought it up 3 weeks later, and the explanation that I was given was consistent with what you shared today. But to date, the city of Lincoln has not been shared an updated P&L statement.
I debated bringing an updated P&L statement tonight. However, I do not have a financial background. I've been in this position for a week, and I did not feel that I would be able to appropriately go through every line item of a P&L with you here tonight, nor would that be the best use of all of your time. I'm happy to provide an updated P&L, and at a time when more appropriate time, perhaps we can all discuss that together.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where the conversation will go when we get to the agenda item. But one of the things that I also stressed during that time was that the financial piece is important. We're spending a lot of money on a program that members of the community don't see the results. This wasn't just an observation by the city. I fielded feedback for 2 years about this, and not just from the community, but from hotels and motels who give the money to the city to use, and they get no tourism support. That's not my words, that's their words. And so the request that prompted all of this is not to dig into your financials more. It is to look, take a step back and say, can we do a better job with tourism? And right now, there's a lot of things going on with tourism, some good, some bad. I mean, you guys are in the middle of a grant that you've had to pay a consultant $1,000 a week for to fix that grant problem. And there's a lot of issues going on. And so I know that there's people that want time, but the other thing is we have the Route 66 Centennial coming up a year from now. I've talked to Route 66 people. As a matter of fact, today I spent the entire afternoon in Pontiac talking to their mayor, their administrator. I took a tour of the city, and I talked with tourism, their betterment program, and in speaking with them, we are way behind the curve. Like, we're so far behind the curve, it's not even worth going into a great debate about. But that Centennial, if we don't get something done, we've wasted our opportunity. And that is not a reflection completely of the board. It is a city-run, created Centennial Commission. So we are just as responsible for being behind the curve, but we're the ones that are wanting to move to correct it, to get something in place for next year.
Just a couple things. We do have a hotel owner on the Bureau, and so I'm sure you didn't hear those comments from that individual. But obviously there's always room for improvement. And you've talked about the community in large, asking about they don't see results. And so how if the city takes it over, how would the city quantify the results in your mind?
Well, the first and foremost thing is we'd bring an expert in on tourism. Atlanta this weekend had photographs online of tours, people walking the streets. When I was in Pontiac, their museums today were filled with people. and it really wasn't a great day. It was cold. There's people roaming all around. So just the optics alone is one thing, right? But, and I think I shared this with you before, and I might have mentioned this last week, but there is a group of private individuals in our community that have lost such faith in tourism that they're going to start their own social media program. We have a program that we give $170,000 a year to. The community perception in some circles is it's not effective, and we have people that have no budget, no money, but they want to invest their time for the betterment of the community. I think that's something worth looking at.
And just to the point also about the $1,000 a week, some of that, yeah, we're paying for his expertise, which I think is what you've had. How many conversations with Scott about the potential of coming to tourism or coming to the city Department of Tourism?
I couldn't tell you.
And roughly about the same cost that the city would take on.
I don't understand the question.
You're talking to Scott about coming onto tourism on the department, correct?
I asked Mr. McCoy that if we were to stand up a tourism department and we were interested in hiring him as a consultant because he is a consultant,
Right.
what that would cost. And the number that was given to me, and I've shared this number, but I always preface it with saying it was just for the sake of the conversation, was $45,000.
Okay. So pretty close to the same what tourism's going to pay. Thank you.
What tourism was going to pay Mr. McCoy?
I mean, if you've calculated it out, right? Yeah.
He's saying if we paid him $1,000 a week for a year, I believe.
I suppose that's okay. But in the same conversation, because I was present for the conversation, when your executive director abruptly quit and you were left and you needed somebody, there was a 10 to 15 minute conversation about what to pay the person that was going to be the interim. And Mr. McCoy's, the conversation about him and the $1,000 a week took place in all of less than 5 minutes. And the amount of money that was spent or designated to the interim was, we'll give them $550 a month, and then turn around and say, we'll give you $1,000 a week.
I think we were,
Look good.
yeah, I think we were doing as you suggested, which was to bring in a consultant to help us do the audit, to help us figure out how we could be better and do an audit.
To be clear, though, I did not make a suggestion.
No, but I'm just saying, as you were suggesting that the city would do, is to bring in an expert.
Mr. McCoy is being brought in that particular conversation to fix a grant that is flawed and riddled with problems. What we're talking about is a consultant contract to run a full-fledged tourism program, not a very specific piece of action.
Right. He was brought in to help us with the grant and also to conduct the audit so that we could figure out how to do work more efficiently and operate better.
Fair. Okay. Did you have anything else for us, Ms. Pickering?
No, I am happy to answer further questions, and I'm not sure what will happen past this vote, but there is, if anyone would like to talk after the meeting or provide additional statements or P&L, I'm happy to do so. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Rolfs?
Excuse me. I think you mentioned at the beginning something about some grants that you write and you bring in. And how much money did you say that has been brought into Lincoln via those grants?
Yes, so totaling since 2023, it has been $240,000. Actually, just let me look at my notes so I can make sure I have the correct number here. I can break that down for you. I do apologize. I did have a handout with more detailed information, and I was not able to get it printed out in time. My printer at home gave me some fits. So we have secured $270,000 in state grants to be used since 2023. $40,000 of this is from the annual operating grant that the CVB gets annually from the state. So $40,000, $40,000, $40,000 for since 2023 is $120,000, and then we've brought in additional $150,000 in grants. I think the $98,000 Route 66 grant, and then a tourism festival grant. And I can't remember the other one off the top. They were in the amounts of 25 and 29, so 150 additional since 2023.
So when you utilize those funds, is there any way that you advertise that those funds are coming from grants to help do certain things in Lincoln?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay, well, you said operating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you got $40,000
Mm-hmm.
for 3 years.
Yes.
Okay. What do you cover within that operating expense?
So some of that goes to salary. I think there's a formula that the state uses. I think 10% of that maybe can be used for salary, and then the rest has to be used for programming, such as marketing initiatives and tourism installations. The Route 66 grant itself is for a number of tourism installations that will be happening. So throughout the town, there's some wayfinding signs, some watermelon benches. The other one was for some EV chargers in Atlanta, and I wish I had that other handout right now. I could tell you exactly where some of that money went, but I can be happy to give that to you after the.
Well, I know that sometimes when you're doing the work
Mm-hmm.
and getting the things done, you don't necessarily notify the public of where that information comes or where that money comes from or how it's being utilized for the best of your community or county, whatever. And that, unfortunately, I think happens in a lot of places, that you just don't say, we got $40,000 and we used it to this, and this, et cetera. Because when you stop and think, of course, you said 274 or 240,000, and that was over a 3-year period of time, not just.
Yes.
So within a 1 year's period of time, what did you do, that year with those funds that helped to promote Lincoln, Illinois, or Logan County?
Yeah, so like I said, the portion of that is dedicated to marketing initiatives. So there's a lot of digital marketing that the tourism contracts, the digital marketing agency. We create ads for Elkhart, for Lincoln, for Atlanta, for Mount Pulaski to advertise all of the tourist attractions and the villages themselves, and those are placed out in digital ads targeted digital ads throughout the state to try to bring tourism to here. So it's not something that's super visible within the county. A lot of those other grants are for very specific tourism installations. I mentioned we have some watermelon benches. We have wayfinding signs. There's a giant donut, I believe, that's going in. I don't know, maybe Sam and Steve can answer some more questions about the grants.
Yeah, the Lincoln letters also is part of the installations that Molly was talking about as well too. So
Because I realize that a lot of those things are there, and you say marketing, well, marketing, I'm out talking to somebody that's marketing. And I feel that in some of the reports that we have gotten at our meetings, that they weren't quite as full of the information that may have happened within your premise.
Yes. Look, you'll hear no argument for me that we can do things better. That is exactly why we brought in an auditor and why we were trying to make things, figure out where we can improve and do better and create more efficiencies and have more strategic goals. We are in the midst of that, and you'll definitely hear no argument from me that we could be doing things better. That is certainly true, and like I said, I am here to make sure that you all just have the best and most accurate information possible.
I'm not sure that we as a council, when we looked at those, now I did the Main Street program in Lincoln, so I kind of know when you're coming from a not-for-profit and you're in there working. Some of the things that you intend to do, it don't necessarily get done in the fashion that you need to have it done in. But is that what a council should be there for? Is that up to your board, or is that up to the city council? And I use the city in this case because you're getting a large portion of money from the city for this. But do they have a role at all in helping you see those things, not 2 years after the fact, but at the time that it's happening?
Does the city have a role in helping us?
Yeah.
Well, both, we have 2 city councilors that are on the board, and I believe the mayor himself has a seat on the board as well.
Okay. I just wonder if this could have been something that could have come up sooner than right now.
Sure.
Yeah, and a couple things I want to point out, and I know Mr. Bateman wants to talk to. In my visit to Pontiac today, when I was speaking with their director who runs their tourism program, when I told them that we spend $67,000 on advertising and marketing, their jaw hit the floor. They didn't give me a number, but they clearly don't spend that much money. They're a community of 11,000 plus people. Their hotel motel tax, they've got 5 hotels, and their hotel motel tax is much greater than ours. I forget the exact number. I'd say it's mid $250,000 that they get. All of the museums that I went through today, paid for and owned by the city. The city is not a CVB. They work with the CVB that is nearby. I think it's called the Heritage Corridor or something to that effect. And their relationship in that respect was that they worked with the Bureau to secure grants, and then in turn, the Bureau keeps a portion of that for their administrative fees. So for instance, if they went to that Bureau and they got a $30,000 grant, the Bureau's fee would be $5,000, $25,000 goes towards towards the effort, the program, whatever the grant may be. So, and I don't know, Ms. Rolfs may find this interesting too, but they also operate their Main Street Lincoln under the city of Pontiac. They managed to save and bring back their Main Street.
I know that. I know Pontiac very well. One of the most prime communities, location, for one thing, you're half a mile off of the interstate and going to Chicago. So it is a prime location, and they have a prime facility. All of their facilities are great. A lot of support from the community, and I know that program well.
Yeah, I mean, they've got problems. I don't want to sit up here and make it sound like Pontiac's just perfect and knocking it out of the park. They got
They were
problems
close.
just like we
They were
do.
always close to perfect.
Yeah, well,
Why, but always
I think-
close.
they managed to do a lot of good stuff, and there was a lot of other takeaways from it as well. So I just want to make sure that if we're sharing the information, that was shared too from my visit. Mr. Bateman?
Well, I'll change what I was going to say to what Mrs. Rolfs just said, solidified my vote later on this evening. I've thought for a long time that the city could do better in promoting tourism. And you just pointed out that the city of Pontiac, smaller than us, based on 55, just like we are, does not have the namesake that we have, that we can market, that they do not. And theirs is a city-run entity because the people that elect us to sit up here trust us on how to promote this city and bring in tourism dollars, which brings in, it's like the movie saying, if you build it, they will come. If we change the way we do tourism and change the way we advertise this city, people would start coming, which would then generate small businesses which thrive in Pontiac and other little cities that Mrs. Bateman and I have visited. We don't visit the big metropolises. We visit the little small cities, and they all thrive on the downtown area that can be utilized. And I just think that the model that has been going on for a long time is broken. I don't think an amount of time will fix it, and it's just time to go in a different direction. And Mrs. Pickering pointed out, of the 240,000 they brought in 3 years, 40,000 of that each year is due to just being a CBB. So if we can secure that, we would bring in the same grant every year.
You're not able to secure that grant without the CVB status, and if we change, we will lose the CVB status.
Well, then my argument would be the $40,000 we spend bringing in a grant, the Tourism Bureau is spending more than that in payroll, so it's a wash.
I-
So I feel that it's time for a change.
Ms. Pickering?
I hear that. I just want to make sure that I'm clear about the grants, and so everybody has an understanding of the grant status. So, as a CVB, a Convention and Visitors Bureau, we are able to go after state grants that are only available to CVBs. Now, Logan County has been grandfathered into our CVB status. We don't actually have enough hotels and motels in our county to support a CVB status. And if we do not continue with the Logan County Tourism Bureau, we will lose our CVB status and we will not be able to go after those state grants. To answer your previous question, I was able to find the answers for those grants. So we have the $40,000 operating grant, which 10% goes to salary, the other percentage goes to just marketing initiatives. The Route 66 grant for 2023 was $29,000. It was for a thermoplastic Route 66 sign and an install of 2 EV chargers in Atlanta. The 2023 Tourism and Attractions and Festivals grant was the amount of $25,000. It was for upgrades to the mill parking lot and a new patio and pavilion at the mill. And then the Illinois Office of Tourism sub-grant was $6,500. That's what we also use as part of our sub-grant. In addition to, it was kind of an additional sub-grant money that we were able to get from the state to give out to community for the community events. And then we have the $98,000 coming in for the Route 66 grant for this year, which will go to the creation of tourist installations, including the Lincoln letters and landscaping, 7 wayfinding signs, a giant donut, and watermelon benches.
Ms. Rolfs?
I would like to, because I know a lot of the conferences that we had up there, and it had Main Street, it had Economic Development, it had Tourism Bureau, and I think they even had one other thing that dealt more with their different museums that they have there. When you look at their city budget, does it have those programs broken down as to how much they give to each one of those? Do you know?
I'm sure it does. We didn't get into that. We had a short amount of time for a visit at their city hall.
Because I'm not sure that they operate the exact same way that we do here from our meetings that we have, but they should have a tourism line item like we do.
There's a lot of similarities. They run something called a community engagement department, and their community engagement is tourism. And then they also have Main Street separated from that. And then there's also some event initiatives that they do. There's some Christmas activities and shows that they host every year. So I didn't get into I didn't ask for a copy of their budget during the sit down with the mayor and the city administrator and their director.
I just don't sometimes feel like let's get rid of what we got and start all over again. If there's something that can be fixed, we need to fix it.
Yeah, and please, Ms. Pickering, don't take this the wrong way, but if we're going to share correct information, the CVB status has nothing to do with the number of hotels that are in the community. It has to do with the revenue that is generated from the hotels, but Atlanta has one hotel, and they have they're not a CVB, but they get their hotel motel tax. It's really about the money and not so much the number of hotels. Okay. Ours was grandfathered in simply because they don't allow a single entity CVB anymore in the state of Illinois because they want multiple entities and organizations to pool their resources together. It makes the tourism dollars go a lot further with the state and the monies that they provide. So like, for instance, today in Pontiac, when we talked about the Heritage Corridor, there's like 6 different entities, county and other municipalities or maybe counties, that play into that. And similar to what we've talked about, if the Bureau decides to maintain a CVB, if the council retains funding, then you could still write grants. If so desired, the city could come to you and work with you to get those grants. That's the exact relationship that they have up there where they're working at. And I don't mean to keep harping on them, but it's the only example that I have, and it's an effective example. It works. Mr. Bateman.
So just a quick Google search. Can a single city be a convention visitors bureau in the state of Illinois? The answer is yes. Perfect examples is the Peoria Area Convention Bureau, East Peoria is a CVB, Springfield is a CVB, Sherman. So yes, a city could apply for and become a CVB all on its own. It doesn't have to be a county entity with a bunch of other cities.
There does have to be at least 2, though. That is in the language. That's why we're grandfathered, because it's Logan County, and that's it.
Right.
So
I'm just saying that it is possible for a single city to become a CVB.
Are you suggesting that the city of Lincoln would be able to continue with a CVB status if the Logan County Tourism Department was dissolved or moved in a different direction?
We would probably move in the direction to see if we can, yeah.
I mean, I think you should, but for sure, but I would definitely make sure that is actually possible.
we would have to partner with one of our neighboring areas of support, which would either be McLean or Sangamon County. So, Ms. Ross?
I think probably my biggest concern, and it could be because I'm a true Republican from the word go, but is that what the city is for? Are we here to grow government? I mean, this whole thing sounds like we're trying to grow government and make sure the government's in control of these things. And just my basic feeling is I don't want to grow government. I like our small government. I just want us to be more efficient. I want us to do what we're supposed to be doing, paying attention to the citizens, getting the streets done, whatever it is, not to necessarily focus on an area that can be done by somebody else. Somebody else can't do what we do or what the city is supposed to do. And I think we should be focusing on keeping our government, not growing it, so we've got more things to do.
If we don't have an effective tourism program,
But we do you think we can have?
well, I mean, I've been on the tourism board, not to be argumentative, but I've been on that tourism board for 10 years. I mean, if you factor in how much we've spent in 10 years at a rate of $200,000 a year, I mean, that's $2 million we put into a program.
Okay, and that's why I went back to how do we better, what is it that we need to know to make sure that they're doing what they need to do with that money? I mean, if we say, okay, and I've heard this said before, that this money is the city money. Well, it's not city money technically, it comes from the hotel motels. We don't do anything to necessarily do that, to earn that, the hotels do. So if we're going to say, but we're taking in the money, then how are we accountable that that money is spent the way it's supposed to be?
By
You see what I'm saying?
these actions,
Okay,
by asking these questions.
but should this have been done maybe a couple of years ago, if there was problems?
That's a great question. So I'd have to go back and look, but we've all sat up here and we've all got the tourism updates on a quarterly basis, and I think we get a monthly update, at least a financial report. I don't recall ever seeing a financial report that indicated that they were running in the negative. Whether that's true or not, I don't recall seeing that report. And
We are
The-
not. We are not. That's why we would not have seen that report, because we are not running in the negative.
that
Sorry,
may
I did
be,
not mean to interrupt you.
yeah,
Karen.
no, that's a valid point. That may be in fact the case. But again, the negative dollar amount came from, I mean, you guys physically went like this. Here's our report. And you handed it to a group of people, and on it, it said, we are running in the negative. That's not a city problem. That was the Bureau.
The beginning of Mr. McCoy's report of his audit says this audit was conducted in 2 weeks and may have errors. This is in the first paragraph of his report. And it was a very rushed audit. And it was a quick audit. We were trying to get things done quickly and move things quickly. So we know what the error is from a profit and loss statement for the calendar year, not for our budget for our fiscal year.
Fair enough.
May I ask these two gentlemen to my left, did you ever notice anything that you thought was not being done or not being done well enough? If we're going to have people from the council sit on these boards, then do they have to be
Well,
checking things?
we tried some different marketing here the last couple of years, which is what I think the mayor is referring to as far as the $60,000 or $70,000, and just from the materials that we've received as far as some of the data, as far as using the hits on websites, on video links and those types of things, that they were looked pretty good as far as the data that we received from the marketing company and such. And so, yeah, those numbers are accurate. And so, but it's hard to quantify a benefit, you know, it's from people stopping by, like you are, I think, at Atlanta. Pontiac would be probably, like the mayor said, a better example.
Yeah. The success of the success or failure of any tourism department in my eyes is very difficult to quantify. Historically, since I've been on the tourism board, we had always tried to gauge that success through the hotel motel tax, like increase in heads and beds, and that was the sole indicator of our success. But it seems like we're moving away from that, and I think we probably should. There's other probably better ways to gauge success through sales tax or whatever, but it's just so hard to find out whether, you know, someone in Lincoln makes a purchase, whether they were brought here by the tourism bureau or they're just here or whatever. There's no good way to gauge that. Even you, Mayor, when you were discussing the success of I don't remember what you were talking about, but you mentioned just the optics were better. But optics aren't hard numbers. It's just like a matter of opinion. These things are very difficult to gauge, and it's hard to tell how our return on investment worked out. Granted, I'll admit that the Tourism Bureau was far from perfect. We had a lot of issues, but I think that these things can be fixed.
I think the Bureau is open to the idea of, and as Molly mentioned, you know, what's best for, you know, the tax dollars that come in. We want the best. And we realize that the city is the only player basically as far as the funding for the county, but we would still like to maintain the Bureau's status. And I think, as Sam and I mentioned last week, that we as the Bureau, you know, we've had a lot of things happen. We had a director, you know, resign. We had this grant coming due, and so we had to move kind of fast and furious. This time, we haven't had a whole lot of time to meet and to discuss the city taking this over. We have a meeting this coming Thursday, or the 24th, and we would just like, I think, as a courtesy, just to give to the Bureau. And I know that you've offered to meet with anyone, the Bureau, the City Council, regarding this, but we haven't had an opportunity with all these other things happening to really discuss this as a Bureau, and just would like to have just some extended time to that. Not to say that the city shouldn't take it over, at least as a department, but I think that the Bureau would like to have some reassurance that that there's an agreement in place between the county and the city, perhaps, to maintain the Bureau, so that the city and the counties could benefit from having a CVB.
So, to that point, and I know that we're in this process where we're trying to rebuild relationships with the county, but I have not been able, I know Mr. Conahan and I have spoke a time or two, but I have not been able to have a conversation with the county about this. I mean, not that I haven't tried, but that conversation has not happened, and that's something that's even out of the Bureau's hands. So you guys can, and also there's a meeting apparently Thursday. Again, I'm a board member, I did not receive an invite to it. So that's things that have been happening as well. So in the interest of of relationships between the city and the Bureau, there's that breakdown that's been happening. So, yeah, and we did. We presented an option to save the CVB. And I guess I would leave it to ponder, what do we hope to come out of a meeting of the Logan County Tourism Bureau that will change things as it is? Would you agree that there are some really big problems that aren't going to get addressed in one meeting with the Bureau?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've had a few meetings to try to address some of the issues that losing an executive director and trying to secure a consultant to finish the grant. Yes.
Okay. I just think it's an insurmountable task that's going to take a long time to fix. And again, if this council doesn't care about the centennial, if this council is okay with not having a program when hundreds of thousands or maybe 1 million people come down Route 66, that's certainly within the council's discretion to make that stance. But that's the reality of what's happening. And if we don't do something to change the status quo, that opportunity is gone. Ms. O'Donoghue?
Okay, I need somebody to break down the structure of the Logan County Tourism Bureau for me, because I thought I understood that it's a voluntary board, but then the mayor is sitting on the board. Do you two sit on the board as volunteers, or do you sit on the board representing the city?
City.
Because that's really gray to me, that you're representing the city. Sometimes when I hear conversations that you're not part of the voluntary board. So how is the structure set up? Who actually sits on the voluntary board, and who are the other people that sit at the table?
As far as I understand it, there are two city, I don't know if you're appointed or if you volunteer from the city, but there are 2 seats available to city council members. There are 2 seats available to the county board members. And so 2 county board members are either appointed or volunteer to join the board. And the mayor is on the board. And the rest of the seats are filled by volunteers from the community, generally business members within the community, or just a concerned citizen like myself.
So more like a committee as opposed to a board.
But
Well-
do your volunteers also have offices? I mean, they could be president, they could be,
Yes.
could ours be any of those in a position, or are they?
I am unsure of that. That would require me to review our bylaws. I think it's a great question. I'm happy to look into that.
I don't know what the bylaws say, but I think that would be a terrible idea. Because then, as representatives of the city, you have to ask, where do their interests lie? As the president of a bureau, who, like Ms. Pickering, is here defending the position of the bureau, or representatives of the council that should be representing the city's interests? It would be, I think it would create a really big conflict.
I just want to be clear again. I am not defending our position. I am just trying to provide you all with the most accurate information.
I think as we all are.
Yeah.
Sam and I as well.
Agreed. Mr. Bateman, and then we should probably wrap this up if we're going to move the meeting along.
So just for clarification, you are the new paid bureau director?
No.
So you're just the president of the board?
Yes.
So again, in the vote tonight, which we mentioned last week, it would be terrible for us to not vote tonight, and they turn around and hire somebody as a paid director, and then 30 days from now the city vote, and if we vote to keep our money, someone is just giving up a job they had, or now could possibly be terminated. So that's part of the speed to this. I know you guys are wanting to meet, but they have an active ad out for a full-time director, correct?
Yes, we have, and we have not had a chance to meet as a bureau to have our regular scheduled meeting to just discuss that. So that will be coming up on Thursday. But I'm going to be moving to talk to the bureau and our committee that we put that ad on pause and not pursue it.
Ms. Rolfs?
So is there anything, because of the lack of having your executive director, is there anything that's not getting done? Or are you still operating as if though?
We have an interim executive director, so the assistant director has now stepped into the interim executive director, and she's fulfilling as much as she can at the time. So we had to put her in position within 30 days to keep the CVB status. So she's continuing our CVB status.
So that-
Now, to answer your question, are things not getting done? We have had a lot of things going on since I have took this position. So it's hard for me to speak to that. We just did wrap up a grant. So we've been working with the auditor and our grant consultant, Mr. McCoy, to wrap up the grant. That has been our primary focus. And then I'm sure as after that is all clear, she'll be moving on to our regular programming.
So where are we with the 30 days?
She is in the director position now. So we're all clear there, and now we have unlimited time to hire an executive director as long as she stays in that position.
And she's been there before. I mean, she's been with you for a
Yes,
while. So
she's been-
familiar. Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions from the council? Ms. Pickering, anything else for the council?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming in to talk with us.
Thank you, Molly.
Okay, next we'll move on to the consent agenda. This evening it consists of 5A, payment of bills, 5B, approval of minutes, March 11th, 2025, committee of the whole meeting, March 17th, 2025, regular city council meeting, 5C, request from Lincoln Community High School to close Kickapoo Street between Broadway Street and Pulaski Street for the LCHS Prom Grand March on Saturday, May 3rd, 2025, from 3:30 p.m. until 5 p.m. And 5D, request from Washington Monroe School to close North Sheridan Street from Pekin Street to Delavan Street and Delavan Street from Sheridan Street to North Sherman Street on Saturday, May 3rd, 2025, from 9 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. for a community carnival put on by school PTO.
Move to approve. Second.
Alderwoman McClellan made the motion. Alderman Downs, second. Discussion? Ms. Bateman?
I did reach out to Washington Monroe, and that is open to the public. That is just not Washington Monroe children. It's open to everybody for that Saturday.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donoghue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Abstain.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Okay, next up is item 6A, resolution approving the content of certain executive session meeting minutes of the City Council of the City of Lincoln.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alderwoman O'Donoghue made the motion. Alderman Sanders, second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Abstain.
Mrs. O'Donoghue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Abstain.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Next item is 6B, ordinance authorizing the sale of excess surplus property.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alderman Bateman made the motion. Alderman Downs, second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donoghue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Ms. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Next item is 6C, ordinance amending term and composition of the Historic Preservation Commission.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alderwoman McClellan made the motion. Alderman Sanders, second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donoghue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Next item is 6D, resolution adopting working budget for fiscal year 2025-2026.
Move to approve. Second.
Alderman Sanders made the motion. Alderman Bateman second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Next item is 7A, approval of bid from Midstate Exterior Solutions LLC for a 2-year for mowing of nuisance properties at a cost not to exceed $40 per hour.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alderman Sanders made the motion. Alderwoman O'Donahue second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. O'Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Next item is 7B, approval of bid from Resilient Premier Cleaning LLC for a general cleaning contract for City Hall in an amount not to exceed $210 per week.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Alderman Downs made the motion. Alderman Sanders second. Mr. Bateman?
Is this a renewing contract or is this
No.
annual?
Well, it'll renew every year, yes,
Every year?
with 30-day out clause.
And is this strictly for City Hall? It doesn't
Yes.
include
Yes.
any other one?
Which is up here minus the fire department.
Okay.
So downstairs, up here.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Ms. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Next item is 7C, approval of the bid from Goodman Fence, Inc. for the purchase and installation of fencing for outdoor storage in an amount not to exceed $9,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alderwoman O'Donahue made the motion. Alderman Anderson, second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donahue?
Yes.
Okay, next item up is item 8A, the city treasurer's report for March 2025. Treasurer Conzo?
Thank you, Mayor. You've all received copies of the report, and I hope you've had some time to look at it. I would point out our general fund balance still down from where it was a year ago. It's not at a normally low level, but it's lower than we'd like it to be. We were kind of on track to keep adding to that, and it appears we're down slightly from where we would like to be, and we'll try to address that as we move into the year ahead. But at this point in time, we're down about $700,000 from where we were a year ago, and some of that has to do with the timing of some of the receipts too. So we'll see where we are when we get to the end of the year. I would point out a couple of things here. If you look at the police pension fund, the consolidated Illinois Police Officers Pension Investment Fund, you'll see between February and March there was a drop of about $359,000, largely reflecting what's happened in the stock market during the month of March. And that's the reason for that. That's not a locally held investment. That's the consolidated investment fund that the state has authorized by legislation. Fire pension fund, there you see, at the time I did this report, we did not have the figures for March, and late this afternoon I received a report from the Firefighters Pension Investment Fund, and it'll be reflected in next month's report. But that balance for the consolidated fund now is $3,885,373. So it's dropped off as well by just under $300,000. Again, a lot of that has to do with the investments that are in the stock market by that fund, as well as the police officers investment fund. If you look at the municipal sales tax and the other tax receipts there, you see these are for month of liability, so these would have been taxes through the month of December. And you see there that would have been received in the month of March. You see there for the year, for the calendar year, we finished above where we were last year, which we like to see. It's huge. It's a couple $100,000. But that certainly helps. And that's the use tax and the sales tax combined. The non-home rule sales tax, there you see, of course, that's a much smaller base to begin with, but that is $1,081,000, so it finished the year $31,000 up. Replacement tax, you see that is down, and we've budgeted for that to go down further for the budget in the budget that you just passed, and it'll be reflected in the appropriation similarly unless something changes. But if nothing changes, what I have in there of revenue projection for the current year is going to be $461,500, and you can see that it has fallen off from what it was a couple of years ago when it was it really went up in 2022 and then started to come back down, and this year that just ended, in 2024, it dropped off considerably. The Municipal League has kind of addressed this in some of the publications, but I really haven't been able to get an answer from and I don't think they've been able to get an answer from the state of Illinois as to why this is. But we did see a substantial increase over what we would normally expect to get, and then it's come back down kind of about where it was prior to that. And I think that it may have to do with collection of some back taxes that were put in place, something that was done to collect those. Replacement taxes, this replaces what used to be the personal property tax. Those of you that have been up here for a long time have heard me talk in detail about this. I will try to avoid doing that. But years ago, the state of Illinois, and some states still have this, they have a personal property tax. In the Constitution of 1970, which was ratified by the voters of the state of Illinois, that tax was eliminated. So to replace that revenue, they came up with the personal property replacement tax. It's primarily paid, not paid by individuals, it's paid by businesses, and a lot of it, a good portion of it is paid by public utilities. It's where most of this revenue comes from. This tax goes back, centuries before the original personal property tax did. And some states, as I said, still use it, but we don't. We have this in its place. Motor fuel tax, you see there, very similar, slightly up from what it was a year ago for the first 2 months of the calendar year. And the video gaming tax, you see there, very similar to what we've had in the past. So I guess better go to the state income tax. There, it's pretty close to where it was a year ago as well. We'd like to see that grow a little bit, but a lot of that has to do with, especially in the early part of the year, was when people pay their taxes and when they file. And then the video gaming tax, you see there, is very similar to what it was a year ago. And that's all I have, unless there's questions.
I have one question for you. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to ask you before the meeting. Do you know where we're at on the cannabis sales tax? Do you have an idea of how much we've received?
Well, I don't. I'd have to go back and see how much we've received since the beginning of it, but it's been pretty consistent month over month, and you see it there, the sales tax 71.79, and I think it was in the 6,000 range prior to that, so it's come up a little bit there in April. In the
Per
spring.
month?
Yeah, okay. But yeah, I can go back and do a full analysis of it. But
Okay.
I have not put that in a sheet like I have some of the others because it's been pretty similar from month to month, but it has gone up over last month.
Thank you. Any other questions for Treasurer Conzo? Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is 8B, City Clerk's Report for March 2025. Ms. Bateman?
In the month of March, we received $379,189.12 for the sewer receipts, in which we received for both prisons $24,407.78.
Anything else? Any questions for Ms. Bateman? Okay, thank you. And then last is 8C, Department Head Reports for March 2025. Those are either on file on the city website or will be shortly. Okay, next up is 9A, advising consent to the mayoral appointment of William Bill Cooper to the position of Code Enforcement Officer.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alderman Bateman made the motion, Alderman Sanders second. Discussion? Mr. Bateman?
The Batemans drive by his yard twice a day, every day. I have to say, Mr. Cooper, you do a very fine job of striping the yard. You make me very proud. I think he'll be an excellent choice for this.
Mr. Cooper, would you mind stepping forward and just introducing yourself and see if the council may have any questions for you?
Talk about your wife's pond and how much you love doing that for her.
Kevin. Turn this on. Bill Cooper. I've lived in the city of Lincoln since 1990. My wife and I were married in 91. I currently reside 140 Campus View. We lived there since October of 96. So I'm 57 years old, been retired now for almost 4 years. Did not quite 28 years with the Department of Corrections. 19 of that was inside the fence at Logan. Well, my first year was at Lincoln, and then the other 18 at Logan. My last 7.5 years was as a parole agent on the streets of Decatur, supervising parolees. So, been put in several situations, good at dealing, talking with people. Looking forward to seeing what I can do about code enforcement.
You're looking for a challenge, aren't you?
Yes, I guess the more I talk to people, I found out that I'm gonna learn a few things. I guess. So,
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to having you.
so
Chief Meister, did you want to add anything?
Like I said last week, Mr. Cooper's come highly recommended. Since then, I've spoke with other people who happen to know him, and that tune hasn't changed. I'm excited to work with Mr. Cooper and see what we can do together to help improve our community.
Mr. Bateman?
I want to just reiterate what Chief Meister said last week. It's not so much of generating revenue for the city of Lincoln of code enforcement. I hope you make a great code compliance person. A lot of people don't know the codes, so I believe everybody gets a chance to learn and be compliant with the code before you're actually pulling the ticket thing out.
absolutely.
So that's what I'm looking forward to the most is code compliance.
okay.
Anybody else have anything for Mr. Cooper? Right. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCall?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Okay. And then Chief Meister, I will get with you and Mr. Cooper, and then we'll do the swearing in at your office sometime, the oath of office.
Yeah, that works out. I'm going to have some swearing-ins coming up. I was going to reach out to Miss Bateman about here next month, too. So either one will work. We'll schedule it.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, next item up is 9B, mayoral proclamation of Friday, April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the city of Lincoln.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alderwoman Rolfs made the motion. Alderwoman O'Donohue second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. O'Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Next item is 9C, approval of the investment of $2 million from the Sewer Enterprise Fund in 3 certificates of deposit.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Alderman Downs made the motion. Alderman Sanders second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Next up is 9D, approval of the process to purchase of a new fire engine within the next 4-year period.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alderman Sanders made the motion. Alderwoman O'Donohue second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. O'Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Okay. Next item is 9E, approval of the retention of hotel motel tax revenue for the purpose of promoting tourism effective June 1, 2025.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alderman Sanders made the motion, Alderman Bateman second. Ms. Rolfs?
I would like to move to postpone this item till the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
So you're requesting to table this item?
No, I'm to postpone it.
It would be a table.
Oh, similar, yes.
Okay. Ms. Rolfs made a motion to table this item. Alderwoman Rolfs and Alderman Parrott second the motion. Discussion? Alderwoman
I would
Rolfs?
just like to mention, I think last week, and of course I was watching the meeting, that when these two gentlemen have been appointed by our city to represent us on the Tourism Bureau, and they had come forth with some information and asked that we consider postponing this. And I would like to honor what they requested by asking to postpone this agenda item till the next regular scheduled meeting, which is May the 5th, I believe.
Yeah, and just as like Sam and I, when we had talked, I think we would just like to talk to the Bureau and just kind of explain everything, just kind of give them an update on all of our discussions that we have had at this council, maybe some individual meetings, with you prior to this, because, it is going to be shocking to them. And to Molly's point, and Sam and I'm sure we can agree that there's always rooms for improvement. Not to say that Bureau has to do those improvements. It could be the city taking it over and doing it. But I know that there are some concerns yet still that I have, even if Mr. McCoy, Scott, would take on the consultant position. How long would he stay, perhaps? And then would the city be in the same position as the Bureau has been for a number of years, with people coming and going, and so that the city's not going to be taking on more costs associated with salaries and benefits and retirements and such. So just some of my concerns. Not to say that the city shouldn't do it. We shouldn't vote to take it. It's just that I think for Sam and I to be able to talk to them and share everything with them and kind of help prepare perhaps a transition. And then in the hopes of maintaining a Bureau status, if at all possible, with the county and the city. That's it.
Any other discussion? Mr. Gonzo?
Thank you. Just, it's one of those things, this is a big decision. And maybe just having some more time to examine it and weigh the options and look at some of the things. I think Ms. Pickering did a great job tonight of trying to present the information that she has. Remember, she's new to the job, so this isn't something that, she's going to be able to have all the answers to on such short notice. But maybe take some time to think through this, because this is a big move and a big, it's a big responsibility for the city to take on. Maybe, I think, as the Alderman Parrott just recommended, and Alderwoman Rolfs, time to weigh some of these things. It might be a good idea.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to table item 9E. Roll call on the motion to table, please.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donoghue?
No.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
No.
Mr. Sanders?
No.
Mrs. McClellan?
No.
Then my vote will be no to not table this. Okay, then we will now, unless there's other discussion on 9E. Is there other discussion, I guess I should ask, on 9E as read? Okay, roll call on item 9E, please.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McClellan?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
No.
Mr. Downs?
No.
Mrs. Ross?
No.
Mrs. O'Donoghue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
No.
My vote will be yes to retain the money. Okay. That brings us to announcements. I've got a couple. The first one is electronics recycling. We've advertised it. It started this week, and I got a email from Mr. Woodhull today, who could not be with us. He did want me to share that today they had approximately 158 visitors come out to the municipal services building. He said that is their third highest one-day total in 5 years, and they already have 16 boxes filled with used electronics. So kudos to those of you who went out there today, helped, and got the program up and running. Just for the record, the dates will be April 21st and 22nd, 24th and 25th. So every day except for Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then on Wednesday, April 23rd, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that is at 313 Limit Street. So as you pull in off of Limit Street, go to the right, you'll go through a bay, stop, they'll help unload your items, and then you can proceed on through. Mr. Bateman.
I believe the city clerk in passing said that the next meeting, none of us will have laptops sitting here.
Yes. So
Those of us that rely on them.
yeah, so because of the recycling window, and then the fact that we are getting new laptops for the council, and we have to wait until May 1st, which is the fiscal year, so we're kind of a week late. If you absolutely want to keep your laptop, there's not a problem with that. We'll just have to put it on a shelf somewhere and sit on it until the next one. We'll find a shelf somewhere. Preferably if you can do without it for a week or two, we will get the new laptops quickly purchased and installed.
These we're getting used laptops again.
No, the council would be getting new ones at a very affordable price. These are ones that we were able to get through a State Farm program to give out their old equipment. We've done it. I think it goes all the way back to when David Wilmert was on the council. We've done it a few times, and some of these laptops actually are from that era. So
Mine will actually die the second before.
it's that reason. Some of the screens are bleeding. Some of them are cracked. Some of them just have problems. And we're now getting to a point where I know several of you are using them, and I just felt it was best if we went ahead and just got new laptops for all the council members. So we did go back and forth to make sure that we were getting the best price possible. We went back to the table and shaved some money off. So we were trying to be cost effective and responsible. So we'll keep you updated on that. Anything else on that? Ms. Bateman? Okay, and then the last thing I have is ribbon cut this Saturday, April 26th at 11:15 a.m. at the Lincoln Veteran Assistance Commission in the John Logan Building on North McLean Street. They have done some work inside their building. They've added new staff and some new programs to assist local veterans. So they would like it if you could join them for their ribbon cut. Okay, that is all I have. Who wants to go first? Okay, Alderman Downs, then Alderman Parrott.
Yes, I just wanted to give a reminder to anyone listening and anyone who's interested. This Saturday at 10 o'clock, my good friend Taylor Lyon is putting together a trash pickup in honor of Earth Day, which is soon. But the trash pickup is going to be this Saturday at 10 o'clock. We're just asking everyone to meet at Latham Park, and there will be some snacks provided afterwards. There's going to be donuts there from Mellow Cream and pulled pork sandwiches from the Foxhole. We're hoping to get enough volunteers to cover downtown Lincoln and the entrances to town, but it's good for the community, and I hope to see good turnout there, and we're hoping to do some
Hey,
good
Sam,
work.
look down at your calendar and tell us when Earth Day is.
Oh, 4/22. Oh yeah, whatever. Yeah, okay. I knew it was coming up, but it's still in honor of Earth Day. Whatever. Yeah.
In honor of Earth Day, get rid of those old electronics. There you go. Okay, anything else, Sam? No. Did we have any big TV? I don't know. Walt, were you out there?
None of the very large, heavy ones. We had some bigger ones that, the newer Air ones that wasn't too heavy. So
Yeah. My homes are coming with a bunch of TVs tomorrow, so you know.
There you go. Well, we did an awful lot those first few years when the city did one, the county did one. Yeah. Okay, Alderman Parrott?
No, I was just going to ask if there was an update on the trash pickup on the 26th. Same got it. Thank you.
Mr. Landers?
yes, just wanted to make everybody aware for the people out on the north end. We'll have Rail Splitter Drive closed down at Airport Road beginning Wednesday morning. We'll have replacing a culvert in anticipation of the road being resurfaced. And we're not sure how long it's to be closed down, but it'll be closed down until the work is complete. And then, Mr. Downs, if you would let Taylor know that I do have vests that they can borrow. We did get some vests for them to use as they're out on the streets picking up trash. So
I'll let her know. Thank you.
she can reach out to me.
Sure.
Mr. Parrott?
Yeah, just a quick question, Walt. So on Union, there was some sidewalk work that was done. Are they coming by to pick up any of the barricades?
They still have some restoration to do yet to finish up. I was in touch with them last week. So they still have restoration to do farther out. There's a couple ramps there that they have to finish up. And then once they get that completed, then I'm assuming they'll pull their barricades and barrels and things.
Okay.
And then that road will, when they start resurfacing, that road will get resurfaced.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other announcements this evening? Okay, if there are no other announcements, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Alderman Downs made the motion. Alderwoman O'Donohue second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Meeting is adjourned at 7:33 p.m.